Hey guys, what's going on? I just wanted to share a bit of a project that I'm going to be starting, and it's a little bit interesting because I haven't really done this before, but I want to try to experiment with a few things and see how it all turns out. So I've had this guitar for a while, and I'm going to show you, probably a few years actually. And I'd started working on it, I'd sanded it down, it got to this point where it's got this kind of like distressed look to it, and you know, I was happy with it to some degree. I was gonna just clear coat it and finish it and call it a day. But I recently saw just this idea of taking alcohol ink and adding it to stain and actually just changing the stain to whatever color you want, which is pretty cool because you can't always get every stain color that you want. So I've experimented a bit with just different alcohol stains, and I think that it'll actually work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand that guitar down just to try and make it as natural wood as I can, and then I'm going to try to stain it in a way that looks good. So it's going to be a whole little project, and I'll try and just document along the way and see how it goes, and hopefully by the end we have a pretty cool looking guitar that I can share with you. So yeah, I hope you're excited and you come along for the ride. So let's see how this goes. So I will show you the guitar now. So it's pretty good. You can see I did wear through a little bit more than I was hoping to in a couple areas, which, you know, is not what the plan was, but it's okay. It's not like I'm gonna shed a tear over it. I mean, ultimately it's kind of a fun project, and we're just kind of seeing how it goes. But if it's got a bit of that played sort of, you know, distressed look, I don't mind that too much. So we'll take it now. You can see it looks like it's all ready to go. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna stain it, and then I'll give you an update after that's done. I'm just prepping for the actual stain that I'm gonna use on this guitar. I did a video before just testing out some of these alcohol ink stains with this natural wood stain. So I've pulled some of it aside. It's right here, and you can see it's got definitely more of a like a honey color to it, and that's gonna have to be countered by the ink itself to make sure that we are set up for the guitar. So I'm gonna add a whole bunch of drops to this, try and mix it together and see if we can get that desired color to use on the guitar itself. So let's get started. So we will grab our pink alcohol ink and let's start adding some color to this. This is probably about 100 milliliters, so we're gonna have to use quite a bit of this ink to get there. So we're gonna get started. Always make sure that you've punctured a hole in the top of your ink first before you get started. There we go. All right. Okay, so that's something like 100 drops there. Let's mix this a bit and see what our color is like. It's got a pretty good color to it so far. Let's take a look and see on a piece of wood how this works out. So we've got a piece of wood here. We'll take our cloth. Okay, not bad at all. So it's a bit of a light pink right now. We might want to go a bit darker than that. And if it is darker, all that does is it prevents us from having so many coats, because you can have another coat of this and it's obviously going to then darken the color. But let's add another 50 drops in and see what that looks like. So you can can see we've got a much richer color there, and that's going to allow us to maybe do a couple coats and get that color that we're looking for. So I think that this has been a success. Again, this is in approximately 100 milliliters of stain. That was 100 drops, and this one was 150 drops. So that just gives you a bit of a reference there. But that allows us again to do a second coat on there once it dries, and then see what kind of coloring we get. Alright, so I think we're ready to take this and apply it to the guitar. We'll see how that goes. On to the next thing. So I've got the pink stain that was made, and I have a rag, which is just an old piece of some pajama pants, and I'm just going to start adding it onto the guitar. That's looking all right. Let's move now to do the headstock. That's really nice. Okay, so I will leave this for a little bit, and then we'll come back, see what it looks like. This is after coat 1 has dried. It's looking pretty good, but I do want it a little darker than that, so we're gonna go ahead and give it another coat. Okay, so a little bit darker, one final layer. I'm gonna try and do a thicker coat on this one, and hopefully we can get the color we're looking for. Here is the guitar as it sits right now with just the pink stain on it. It looks really good. I think I might want to just add like a dark trim around the outside, almost like a burst style with the pink. Okay, so I have just some stain set aside here. This is actually like a darker stain, so I figured it would make it easier if I start with just some stain I had kicking around already. So this is some Kona Varathane, and yeah, like I said, I already had it, so it's starting off as a nice dark brown, and then I can use the alcohol ink to just stain that even darker and make it black. Okay, so I am back with the guitar and the black stain, and I want to start by just working around the edges and trying to be as careful as I can around any of the pink spots that I don't want to stain. Okay, so let's give this another coat. Let's take the dry side. Okay, so here is a part-way update through that guitar I'm working on. The staining is all done at this point, and I'm going to start moving on to the next step. So here's how it sits so far. It's not as pink as I would have necessarily wanted, but it doesn't mean that it's not a cool looking guitar. You can see that darker edging around the outside, which is nice. Sides and back almost have like a dark mahogany look. The back of the neck turned out pretty well. And we've got a bit of that same almost like burst style on the headstock. A little more subtle on the headstock than the body, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. So yeah, so that's kind of where that's sitting. I think what I'm gonna do is I'll take like a oil finish type product, and I'm gonna color that with the same pink as well in hopes that it brings a little more of that pink color through. And then I'm going to coat everything that has the pink with that, and then I'll just use it in its natural form on the sides and back to just make sure that I can seal that up. And and give it sort of a finished look, so it doesn't just have that wood finish to it. Okay, so we're moving on to the next process in this guitar, which is doing this oil mixture. So I am actually using this Watco Danish oil. It's the natural colored one, so it makes it easier for me to dye. I've had this for a while, so that's why I'm just using it. But yeah, and I've actually used the alcohol ink again, the pink one, to try and hopefully bring out some of that pink color in the finish a little bit more, and we'll see how that goes. So you can already see a few of the areas that really absorb that oil a bit more. I'm just touching up those areas again. So that's the first coat done, and it's looking pretty dry now, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a second coat of that finish. Since the last time we did a video, I gave a light sanding to the guitar all over, so I ended with a 2000 grit sandpaper to kind of smooth out the layer. That was after 3 coats of the actual oil and finish. So right now I've done the back and sides to a point where I'm pretty satisfied with that. I'm just gonna do the neck, the headstock, and the body now to finish it off with what I have left of the colored finish here, and then that should be it for the actual finished coat of this instrument. So I am done with the finish work now, and here's what it looks like. So it has that dye that's been put on the actual stain, and then it also has the dye put into the finish coat as well, and I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I like it. There's some imperfections with it, like finish wise, it's you know, it's okay. That's gonna wear out over time. I may give it another polishing. That's also good to mention, between the last video and right now, I have sanded it and given it a bit of a polish, so I just wanted to spare you from more sanding time. But I did, just for those of you who are curious, I did a 600 grit, then I did a wet 1000 grit, and then a wet 2000 grit, and then I just used some polishing compound and polished it all out. So you can see just how the sides and back turned out. Now again, it's not perfect, but I'm okay with that, because you know, most things in life aren't perfect, but this one is, you know, handmade by me, so I like that. This is gonna need some hardware, some strings, obviously. One of the nice things with this instrument that I found is the neck actually stayed pretty straight. It's been a few years since I've done anything with it, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that the neck hadn't really badly warped over time. But there are a few things to mention with this, and that's one, again, it has been sitting for a while, and two, I don't know if you can see, but there's a crack here that runs through the neck. That's probably just happened over time because the instrument has gotten dry. And in this case, what I want to do is give it a really intense or more focused humidification time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the garbage bag technique. I learned this from a guitar tech a few years back, and basically all you're doing is you're taking some wet sponges and you're putting them in the bottom of a garbage bag, and then you're putting the instrument in the garbage bag with those sponges and leaving it for an extended period of time, maybe about a month or so, and then checking on the instrument to see what it looks like. And you should notice it's not going to fix the crack, obviously, but it will, as the instrument itself is rehydrated, that crack will close again because the wood has absorbed that moisture. So we will, I'll show you what that looks like to get that done. That'll be the end of this video, and then I'll come back after the hydration process is done and continue on from there. So let's go do that. Let's put it in a garbage bag and get it humidified. Okay, so I'm about to put the instrument into the garbage bag to humidify for the next month or so. But before I do that, just if you have any questions about humidification, you're kind of wondering, you know, maybe your instrument's in the same kind of condition, or maybe it's not, and you just are wondering, hey, is what I need to do right now humidify my instrument? I did make a video about that, so you can check that out right here. But let's move along with the process. So if you do check out that video, you'll see just how I've hydrated some sponges. I've got the sponges in here already. They're already been filled with water. I'm not going to pull them out because it soaks the inside of the bag, and you don't want just the instrument is sitting against that water. But there are 3 just soaked wet sponges at the bottom of this bag right now. This is just a typical black garbage bag. And what you want to do is take your instrument, put it in. You don't want it to touch the bottom because that's where the wet sponges are. So you want to let it hang a little bit there. So right now the instrument ends in this section and the sponges are a little lower than that, which is good. You want to bunch the garbage bag right underneath the headstock. So the headstock is still exposed at the top. And then I take one of these Velcro cable ties and I just put that around the top to sort of seal the environment in the bag to allow this instrument to humidify during the time that it's in here. So I do that, and then you're still able to hang this on a stand or whatever in the same way you normally would, because the headstock is still there exposed. So again, I will leave this now in this bag for probably about a month, and just allow this to humidify, and hopefully we will see after that period of time just that crack in the neck itself close on itself, to know that this instrument has taken in enough of the moisture from those sponges to be good to continue on the process, to add the hardware and get it strung up and make sure that it's all set up and ready to go. So I will leave this for now, and you'll see me again in the next video when this is all ready to go. So see you then. Love you guys.